Today on The Woofy Show, we're going to be talking about understanding your dog's needs in a modern world.
Welcome to The Woofy Show, the ultimate dog lover's digest. Meet your hosts, Brian and Magda, two dog lovers ready to help you be the best dog parent, unravel the mysteries of canine behavior, and keep you updated on the latest trends in the dog world. This podcast has something for everyone. Get ready for heartwarming stories, expert advice, and a lot of laughs.
So basically, we live in the modern world now with buildings and skyscrapers and busy lives and crazy schedules and everyone's on the go. And we're going to talk about what is it like and how, ways you can make your dog's life better, and how to raise them better in this now modern society. We don't live on farms anymore. Well, some of you probably do, but, dogs don't have crazy open fields, things like that. We are busy people. Some of us have 1 job, 2 job, 7 kids. I don't know.
7 kids? I don't think anyone can afford 7 kids nowadays.
And a dog. That's so true. But yeah, it's just we're going to be talking about what is it like, not what is it like, but kind of like raising a dog in society in 2024 in the is it the 21st century? I don't even know what century we're in.
It is 21st century.
Is it 21st century? I almost said 20th. But yeah, so I guess to start off, we're going to talk about the core needs of a dog in today's society, the main things that a dog needs, right?
Yes. I guess in order to talk about this topic, we first need to understand what is it that our dogs actually need.
Yeah.
And then how can we fit those needs into today's world?
Yes.
And make it work.
Yeah, how can it work for them and us? And
we can
adapt depending on our situation. So then our dogs are fulfilled.
Yeah.
So I guess the first one is physical exercise. So that's the common sense. It's like taking your dog. It's not just common sense, I guess. It's not just taking your dog for a walk. Most people think, hey, I took my dog for an hour walk twice a day. They're set. There's more than that. Physical exercise is also playing.
Playing, running, tugging, doing dog sports, I guess.
I never even thought about dog sports.
Digging. Yeah. Some dogs like to dig.
Yeah,
that's physical exercise
too. In your garden, it might not be fun, but if you're here where we have snow, it's fine. Dig in the snow. I don't care.
Yeah.
And so, it's more than it is. Walking definitely helps, but going for a run, bike ride, just physical activities that you can do with your dog. Hiking, that one's most people do. I know unless you have...
But even playing with other dogs, that could also be considered part of the physical exercise.
Yeah, that's true. They're running, they're jumping, they're playing. Again, I think most people do that unless you have the laziest couch potato dog and you've never taken your dog for a walk.
Yeah, I think it's important to also recognize that these needs that we're going to talk about, all of these needs are applicable to any dog.
Yes.
It doesn't really matter what size it is, what breed it is. It doesn't matter. These are fundamental needs that all dogs need.
Yeah.
We're just going to talk in a broad spectrum.
Yeah, and I guess to elaborate on that, whether you have a border collie or a toddler that are high energy and you probably do all of this because you own one of those dogs, or you have a Maltese, little tiny toy dog, you still need to be doing this.
Physical exercise. It's just that the level will be different for them, obviously. The amount of physical exercise for a Maltese is not exactly the same as, for example, a German Shepherd, right?
And the same for the rest of the points we'll go through, different levels, kind of different amounts of how much of that you need. So physical exercise, that's kind of makes sense. So we don't have to elaborate too much on that one.
Then we have the mental stimulation.
Which is huge that I don't think a lot of people do.
I don't think people do enough mental stimulation for themselves. Which then impacts the dogs.
And I guess that's the point of being in the modern world is which we'll talk about later on, but with technology and convenience and all of that.
I feel like a lot of people run on autopilot. Every single day, it's just the same day. And they kind of forget that, hey, maybe I should work on my own brain exercises. I should probably read a book, or maybe I should do some research, or, do mental things that keep us as humans healthy. But then that's also overlooked in dogs.
So are you saying dogs should be reading books then?
Well, no, dogs shouldn't be reading books, but dogs should be doing things that also kind of sparks their interest.
Okay.
And kind of makes them problem solve a little bit.
Do you have some examples?
Well, mental stimulation things. So for instance, like sniffing is a big thing when it comes to mental stimulation. It gets the brain going.
Yeah, because they're trying to bring in the scent and see what it is and follow it.
There's a lot of like scent detection kind of games you can do that are homemade, or you can buy one of those puzzles, which are pretty much all centered around scent detection.
And like, or mental stimulation of trying to move this piece so they can get at the treat or the reward. Because the smell is like directly connected to like the brain function. So if a dog sniffs something and tries to solve a problem based on that scent, then that's when the mental stimulation kicks in. And so like we said, hiding treats around the house, which I think we've talked about in the past because we do that with Maple, as well as the toys,
like
the interactive toys, snuffle mats as well. Even things like Kongs or Topples or all those other kind of like interactive treat lick mats, things like that. Because I know they're just eating, but they have to work for it. So they're kind of like thinking about how do I get in this little, how am I getting into this little crack, this little nook that's in this toy?
For me, the biggest thing to do with mental stimulation, I know a lot of people will not relate to this, but it's doing tricks. Trick training is a big thing for a mental stimulation.
We have that on the list. We're going to talk a lot more.
Because that really like reinforces a dog to think hey, like there's a reward and this human's asking me to do something. Like how do I solve this problem? How do I get around it to get this reward, right? So for me, I think trick training is like the biggest mental stimulation thing. And also, it kind of, because it involves you proactively with your dog, it also builds that bond. And it's just a great thing to do.
It is, We're going to have an episode. It's on our list of topics to cover and just more explaining what trick training is and all of that.
Because it also provides another need that we have is the social interaction. Animals, dogs are big social creatures. They love to be around humans, obviously, because we are cool.
For the most part, yes.
But they don't like to be alone for too long, you know? So when you are actively involved with your dog and playing with them, like tugging, for instance, or throwing that ball, throwing that frisbee, doing those tricks, it provides like 2-in-1, basically, right?
That's true, So social interaction is a huge one. And again, that's probably the most important is you and your dog or your family and your dog. But then there's other aspects. It is taking them to a pet store with you just so they can sniff around. They can see other things. You know, you don't even have to buy anything. Or like, again, we live in Canada where we have winter half the year, going to pet-friendly stores to, again, let them sniff. I mean, you can let them meet people to a certain degree. I mean, it's up to you of how... You know, if you want people to come and say hi to your dog.
But they can just people watch. Like that's also mental stimulation. Is that social interaction without being like overwhelming, right? And that's the thing in today's world. Like because we are so busy, we tend to not socialize as much.
But then it's also the things, like you said, it's them seeing things. So maybe you're at a store and there's someone in a wheelchair. To us, we've seen wheelchairs dozens of times.
It's not a big deal.
All of a sudden, a dog starts like losing its shit because it sees someone in a wheelchair for the first time. That is social interaction. That's them, thinking. That's using the mental stimulation to be like, hey, what is this thing? It's got wheels. I want to ride it. I don't know if dogs would see it,
This actually brings me to a little story. So when the other day we took Aspen.
Yes, a little puppy.
To a pet store where they had a bunch of different animals, bunnies, ferrets, rodents, birds, fish and cats. And Maple lost her shit on a cat. And we were just like, why? You have seen a cat so many times, but I think she just got really startled. But like, that's part of the social interaction, right?
It was a little bit embarrassing because then the puppy was just like, what's this? Meanwhile, our older
puppy
dog is going crazy,
barking
and all of that. And we're just like, what? But it was a weird, like, the cat came around the corner. It was in one of those like enclosed areas where you can go and play with the cats or whatever before you adopt them.
It was funny because it was almost like an alert barking, like, oh, hey, something's here.
But that's a very good point. That's something that, for our dogs, they don't ever see cats. That is social interaction. Although they're not like physically sniffing it, but they're seeing it, they're watching it.
Just being like exposed to different things, it's huge for a dog because it is mental stimulation as well as social interaction.
Yeah. So the fourth of the 5 core needs that a dog needs in today's society, or any society, is diet. Now that means they're kind of getting like a healthy, balanced, nutritional food kind of thing. We're not saying one is better than the other. We're not saying go raw, go kibble, go whatever, but just to make sure they're balanced. Don't just feed them, I don't know, fast food. Just like us humans, I know people buy their dogs plain hamburgers from McDonald's, and that's fine occasionally, but don't be that person that's just constantly giving your dog crap all the time.
Yeah, but this is what I want to kind of talk about, that because we are used to feeding ourselves crap a lot more now in the modern world.
That's true.
Since we are so busy, we're just like, I'm just going to order takeout. I'm just going to pop in here and get
microwave
this.
dinners or processed, pre-made stuff.
And once again, we are literally doing the same to our dogs. We are like going for the most convenient option rather than most healthy option.
Well, not even the most healthy, but like a healthier option.
Yeah.
Like for us humans, it's easier to go pick up a pizza than it is to like make a salad from scratch, cutting all the vegetables, but the salad's
Although
better.
I don't know why, but how I feed my dogs better than I feed myself.
Yeah.
Because I care about them more.
I know, I think it is. Yeah. Well, it's because they don't have a choice either. You got to realize your dog can't communicate with you. They can't talk to you. They can't be like, hey, I feel like crap. Give me something good to eat.
Although sometimes dogs do, right? They just won't eat it, and they will end up eating it when they're absolutely starving because they have nothing else to eat.
Now on that talk, you're right. So there's a core need. If your dog keeps getting to the level that they don't want to eat their food for a day or two, and then finally they eat it one meal, and then they don't eat it for a day or two, you are not meeting their need. You are not meeting their nutritional need. Yes, a dog can fast for like a day or so every once in a while. That's okay. But if your dog is constantly not eating, or I hate this word, if they are a picky eater, I did the air quotes if you're listening to this, they're not picky eaters. They just don't like, you know what I mean? They're just not satisfied. They're not getting what they need in that food. So, this is a very important need of just like diet, of the food you feed them, of the nutrition they get, just like us humans,
Yeah. I mean, everyone loves food. Every animal loves food. It just has to be the right food. I think if you feed your dog the same thing every single day, like that's
for their whole life,
like, come on, like, are you really feeling that need, or are you just going for the most convenient option for you? Because that's how the world is right now.
We'll have an episode about this. Actually, a lot of these topics will have a more in-depth episode on these kind of things, because we're pretty passionate about diet, which we'll get into.
So the last core need is something that people won't realize, but it's actually rest.
Yes, and this goes 2 ways. So I guess the first one, in the busy society, the going to work all the time, it's too much rest. You might be like, oh, my dog just sleeps for 10 hours while I'm at work. Cool. But then the other 6 hours you're awake or with them, because then you also go to bed for 8 hours or whatever. What are you doing with them? Is your dog sleeping? Yes, as a puppy, as we talked about, they sleep a lot. But if your adult dog is spending 20 hours of its day sleeping, that's not meeting their need of the physical exercise, the mental stimulation, all of the other points, if they're just resting all the time.
I mean, people will probably laugh at it and be like, hey, I would love to sleep 20 hours a day, aka you, probably. You're a big napper.
16 hours.
But is that really living?
No, because you feel like crap afterwards. You're right. Even as humans, if we oversleep, you just feel terrible. And I imagine your dog feels the same thing. I don't ever oversleep,
so that's hard for me to tell.
Yeah, I guess so. Wish I could do that. Wish I could not oversleep. But it's just like humans. If you sleep too much, you feel kind of groggy and gross and very lazy.
But I feel like if your dog sleeps that much and they rest so much during the day and they have literally got nothing else to do, like, one, it can create unwanted behaviors such as being destructive because they're literally bored.
Yeah.
You're not fulfilling the other needs that there are.
So they're getting that mental stimulation and physical stimulation
fair enough,
by
they're
ripping
getting
apart
rest,
things. Yeah.
But maybe they're not getting, the mental, the social, the physical, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to balance everything in their lives. All the needs have to be there in moderation.
Yeah. Yeah, and then on the other end of rest is maybe there's a lot more to do with puppies, but if they're not getting enough rest. And people think that, I want to play with my puppy all the time, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
As we mentioned in, I think definitely one of our episodes, maybe a few of them, is puppies do need to sleep a lot. They need to be up for like an hour, maybe 2, sleep for 3. 4 hours, up for an hour or 2, sleep for...
It's so funny because you see it all the time in our Facebook group.
Yes.
People saying, my puppy is like crazy. Like they will literally nip at me. They will nip at my kids. They will nip at things. And it's just like a demon went inside of them. And I don't know what to do. And I'm like... Rest.
Yeah,
put them to sleep. Reinforce.
We have how old is she? 15 weeks now. Our puppy, and you know what? She comes out and she's all cute, and we play with her and we train, let her out, and then after about an hour and a half, she starts to get a little bit of a terror and gets the zoomies and starts trying to grab everything and run away. That means it's nap time, but it's it's like literally like an alarm for you to be like, time for your dog to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Don't
like,
fight through it. Don't put up with it.
Enough now.
And that's exactly what we do. So it's on the other end of making sure they get enough rest. And I guess, so with those are, I guess, the 5 things. So physical exercise, mental stimulation, social interaction, diet, and rest. And I think everyone needs to realize like how much our lives in 2024 in modern life impacts all of these things. Just because we were just on the topic of rest, you have to think that we are full around all sorts of crazy technologies and beeping things and stuff that makes noises and alarms and TVs and cars and motorcycles. Is your dog truly getting any rest? When you're in and out of different rooms? Cool, you work from home, but are you constantly all over the place? Is your dog trying to sleep right next to you and you keep getting up to go to the bathroom? They're not resting. You keep getting up to go get food. Like, they need that quiet place. They need that separate space, that other, room, the bedroom during the day, whatever it is, to get them that rest.
Yeah, you're right. I agree.
So, and then just another way more to summarize it all up with our busy schedules. Like we said at the start of the episode, we're all busy. We have busy lives, and they might not be getting this stimulation. Cool. You go to work for 8 or 10 hours a day. Your dog sits at home. What are you doing the rest of that time?
But this is what people in the modern world do, and it's a big mistake. What happens is you go to your work 9 to 5, you do your commute and things, and then you don't end up doing anything with your dog Monday to Friday, right? And we're talking about standard family, whatever.
Well, they might take their dog for a walk. Most people, that's all they do. They just take their dog for the one walk a day. And they think that's good. Yeah.
So they might do that. Yeah. But let's say they don't, right? And then on a weekend, they bring their dog to a dog park. And this dog goes crazy. They go like mental because this was like the first time, like prison break,
they have so much like built up energy and excitement, and they're just like,
this is where accidents happen because these dogs have so much like needs that are not met, and then they kind of like burst into this dog park, creating fights and things. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, I guess a quick example with that. So we'll go to the mental stimulation. Cool, they're at a dog park. They're so excited to finally get to sniff. Have their little free sniff already where they're sniffing around, and then all of a sudden another dog comes and runs up because they want to play. Your dog is focused on like using their brain, and now they're like, hey, dog, get away from me. I'm sniffing. And again, that's how fights start. It's like, it's not that your dog doesn't want to play. It's like they are so exhausted from doing nothing. They want to use their brain. They want to smell things. They don't want to play with that dog right now because they're trying to meet this need specifically at this time. Yeah, in 10 minutes, cool, I'm ready to play. But, we see that with the 2 dogs we have now. Maple's sniffing around and all of that, and Aspen comes and is like, play with me, and she's like, get away from me. Yeah. And so you're right, with our busy schedules, it's like we're not saying quit your job and stay home, but like
you have to make sacrifices.
Yeah, you do. And I think there's lots of videos, lots of blog posts and quotes out there of just like, it doesn't matter how busy of your day you had, your dog still needs you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you had a crap day at work, you are busy, you're not feeling well. I mean, okay, fair enough. If you're like get sick once or twice a year, maybe you can get, have the day off. But it's just like meet their needs.
It's not a habit.
No.
Right? Like if you're sick, you're not making a habit out of not doing anything with a dog. So is it really fair?
So these needs are daily. These 5 things are what they need daily. Not, Saturday they'll get their mental stimulation. Sunday they'll get their physical exercise. All diet they eat during the week.
And if you have a dog that's a high energy dog, like, your Huskies, your German Shepherds, your Border Collies, etc.
Yeah.
You are signing yourself up for that.
Yeah.
That you have to provide them with these needs in a greater kind of, what's the word? Scale.
Yeah. That makes sense. You need to.
They need that more
time.
Yeah.
Your Maltese might need an hour a day, but your working dog will need 3 to 4 hours a day. And if you are thinking about getting a dog and listening to this podcast, I think one of our very first episodes are talking about the different breed groups. So listen to that so you can kind of understand at least what direction you want to go in. But so I guess that kind of sums up just the core needs, what they need kind of thing.
Especially when people also get like shelter dogs, right?
Yes.
Most of the shelter dogs are some type of mix of some type of working breed.
Yeah.
And people get this shelter dog and they like feel so good about rescuing a life. And I get it, but you also need to understand this dog and what the needs are. And
actually on the topic of shelter dog, because that's just what all shelters do, you have a lab mix, which is awesome. Everyone loves labs. They are so much work. A full-bred Labrador Retriever, purebred Labrador Retriever, are high energy, very crazy, need lots of attention, are bottomless food pits, so don't overfeed them. Like, your dog is like, it's a lab mix, because everyone has a lab mix, which is fine, cool. But just keep in mind, a Labrador is not a couch potato, toy dog. What's the lab dog? That's the word. Yeah.
Poodle mixes.
Yeah.
Poodles are not like...
No, poodles are like crazy.
Yeah.
They're like crazy.
Poodles are not for just chilling at home doing absolutely nothing. They are high energy dogs.
I'm sure if you're a doodle owner, you can let us know. Is your dog more than you expected? Please let us know. Because all the ones we've met and they're like, my dog is doing this and this and this. And it's because you think that it's
that I have ever met were crazy and high energy dogs and they need... the physical, the mental and everything. And people get these dogs as like stay-at-home pets thinking, this is just like a small little Maltese or Shih Tzu style dog that they're just going to be there to cuddle. And it's like, no.
Like the Cavapoo, the Maltipoo, those kind of things.
It is a mix of a high-energy dog and you need to realize that.
Yeah, so... I guess that's a good way to wrap up that part. But
I'm only talking about this because it is a common theme in the modern world that these dogs are becoming more and more popular.
That's very true.
And people are not realizing that before getting one of these breeds, which is lab mixes, poodle mixes,
or doodle, we'll use the word doodle.
Shelter dogs who are mixes of high energy dogs such as like Huskies and German Shepherds.
That kind of stuff. But so I guess we'll move on to kind of more of the impacts that the modern society has. And one of them is social media. Now, the first problem is everyone just sits and you will binge watch. I'm going to call Netflix social media. I know it's not, but like you'll binge watch YouTube, Netflix, scrolling on your phone, just not paying attention to things. Now that's the first problem, which is we all are guilty of that. We all do it, and that's fine. But it's like, hey, take your dog for a walk. It's like then you can reward yourself. But the other point of social media is constantly seeing other dogs. So dog posts, dog this, and I'm not going to say comparing, but comparing it. Like we've seen some really awesome dogs do some really cool things. And it's like, I wish my dog can do that. Well, your dog can do that, okay?
Yeah.
You know how much work that person put in behind the scenes to do that? And
sometimes we end up focusing on other people and then forgetting about our own lives.
Oh, man. We need a whole episode on social media. I'm just coming up with all these ideas of things, social media and dogs. And then,
or like we end up kind of focusing, everyone, obviously we live in a world where everyone wants to be an influencer, right? And pet influencer and all this, because there are so many success stories of this, which is great. Like at least you are doing something with your dog.
Yeah.
But then are you really doing things that make things fun for your dog, or are you taking your dog to this place or doing this specific thing for 3 seconds in order to get a picture?
Yeah, and so actually it's not even pictures. People do that. I don't know. I've seen some YouTube videos of they like scare their dogs with costumes and things like that. And okay, fine. It's funny. It's maybe not cute, but it's like you're literally putting your dog through all these like scary things, and you're jump scaring them, and you're wearing stupid things just to get views. And it's like, okay, maybe a one-off thing. Is there, we had an episode about Halloween, so it's taking them out on Halloween, and they might get scared, and that's a one-off kind of thing. But yeah, don't be using your dog to become a dog fluencer, and like you said, put them in situations that are not safe, that are not comfortable for them. Consistently. And then I guess really quickly, the last thing I want to say with social media is Facebook groups. We actually have an episode on the pros and cons of Facebook groups, 2 different ones. And that's a thing that you'll go on a Facebook group, you'll see all these things, and then it will either make you feel really bad about how you're treating your dog or really good or whatever. And it's bad in the sense of now we're taking the opinion of some stranger that has the same dog as you, that same breed or mixed breed, but is nothing like your dog. So you are basing your decisions on a person on the internet or a group of people. And I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but this is it's so easy to find information that could be harmful to your dog, just as well as it could be beneficial to your dog. Like the whole back to the diet thing. People are like, don't feed your dog mushrooms, blah, blah, blah. That's wrong. Just straight up saying that's wrong. If you disagree with me, let me know. Not seriously. Let me know and why. But you know what I mean?
Like I actually showed you the post the other day of someone asking a group whether you can feed your dog a steak, and the amount of comments there were like, no, don't do it. Like this is dog abuse. Like they're gonna choke, they're gonna die, they're gonna do this. Media. And I'm just like, holy shit, like what is happening? Like I would have no problem feeding my dog a steak, but I probably wouldn't feed a dog if they're not used to eating raw.
Yeah. And raw steak, by the way, not cooked
raw
steak. But yeah, so that's the point of social media is it has its consequences, because social media is so popular in our society. It's great for information, but again, your dog can't speak to you. They can't tell you if they like or dislike something. So, take it easy with what you're doing on the internet and through social media.
Because you can literally take someone's advice on the internet and like apply it to your dog. And if that person that gave you the advice, their lifestyle and everything else like completely different to yours, it's not even applicable. Yeah. Like you can damage your dog.
Yeah.
We
talked
do
about this
really
in an
harmful.
episode, so we won't continue on this. But look for that episode of the negatives of Facebook.
I'm just saying like how social media has such a big impact on our dogs.
Yeah. And then on top of that,
and you there sitting and scrolling your phone, for instance, and your dog's just staring at you.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, forgot to feed you. Back to the diet. Now they're not eating on time. I'm not saying that bad, but you have to be careful with that. And I guess to technology in general, same thing. Binge watching Netflix, scrolling on your phone, all of the lights and the noises and the beeping things and all your devices that you have. Dogs can like sense things a lot more than us. They can. Now I don't know that. Don't quote me on this when I say this, but like they can sense like wireless waves and all of that, and the only reason why, because I read this somewhere and I believe it, because Maple is like doesn't like the modem. a little like
the
internet
Wi-Fi
modem,
thing. Yeah,
a little
I know.
Wi-Fi modem. Because when we play with her, it's just around the corner, and we throw a ball and it goes into this, just in the corner of the room, and she doesn't want to go get it.
Yeah,
because she's like kind of, and I did hear they can sense that. So when you have your devices sitting next all around them, or you have TVs going all day or noises,
this is probably why like dogs in today's society are so neurotic.
Yeah.
And like so anxious and depressed, and everyone's just looking for things to like pump into their body with drugs and things in order to make them calm.
Just like
but like
humans.
maybe your life is just too crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to like step back. Maybe you need some of your own personal boundaries. Maybe that's what you need, right?
Yeah, and
like say, I'm not going to use my phone from this time to this time. This time is for me and my dog.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't just be sitting there with the video rolling on your phone the whole time when you're trying to get them to do something. Be present with your dog. Don't let, cool. You have the camera, the little pet cam, and you're at work and all of that, but don't just rely on that all the time. Be like, I'll just leave my dog in this room, even though I'm home, but I can see them on the camera and whatever, they're fine. And it's like, let them be a part of your life. You know, if you have a busy schedule, you have to think of alternatives, which I guess we'll get into next, of like, you know, cool. All of this technology and social media and all of this busy schedules impacts, you know, your dog more than you think. So what are some alternatives? Well,
because it impacts your life, right?
Well, yeah.
In such a way that it eats away your time, which then in turn eats away your dog's time.
And so maybe you are a very busy person. Maybe you're a workaholic. Maybe you got a dog because your kids wanted one, but you know, all of that.
I'm a workaholic. I work like literally. Yeah. Like I could work 24/7 if I could. I don't have to sleep.
You would work 20 hours a day. I would sleep 20 hours a day. That's our difference. But no, so if that's the case, then look at alternatives. I'm not saying give up your dog, but like hire a dog sitter, hire a dog walker.
But that's what we do, right?
Like, so do these things. It's like, hey, if you're busy or you're gone for 10 hours a day, don't let your dog just hire somebody to come and let them out for a walk or something like that. Rover is a great platform. It's if you haven't heard of Rover, it's like a Airbnb, but for dog related things. We are on Rover. We use Rover for our dog. Maple, Aspen's not old enough yet. We are, what do we call Rover?
Sitters.
So we have dogs that come in for
not
daycare.
So much now because of the puppy
or boarding. It's an amazing service. If you haven't heard of it, we do have a link in our description to sign up and check it out. But it's, you're just like hiring somebody to do
things that you don't have time for.
Or
hey, I don't have time to like walk my dog because
cheap.
I've got this.
I mean, again, the prices are set based on where area you live in, but it's a great thing to do. Or you love dogs so much and you want more, then become a Rover sitter, you know?
Yeah.
Bring some more into your home to do daycare or board or whatever.
But what I'm saying is, like, if you are working so much, you are bringing in money, so use that money to enrich your dog's life.
Yeah, and again, so not just that, but like getting the interactive toys like we talked about. Cool, you come home, 7 p.m., you got to make dinner now for your family, no time for the dog. Have something that was pre-made on the weekend in the freezer.
Yeah.
A Kong, a lick mat, a topple, a puzzle, whatever. Give it a snuffle mat, give it to your dog. 15 minutes with that, they're done.
Yeah.
They're exhausted. There's a really cool trick you can find. It's really easy. You just take a towel and you lay it out. You put treats in, roll it up, and then kind of like tie it in a knot, but not too tight.
Yeah.
Your dog will spend forever trying to untie that thing and unrolling it just to get all the treats inside.
And you can just leave your dog with it in the kitchen or in their like little space or whatever, and you can just focus on cooking.
Yeah. So, and these are things that so then you both are getting fulfilled. You get to sit and watch your, new episode of whatever show just came out, but your dog is also doing something, because we do that.
Yeah.
We're like, oh crap, we don't have it's cold. Don't want to take them outside. What can we do? Let's hide treats around. Let's give them an interactive toy. Let's give them something to do. It takes 5 minutes instead of spending an hour walking them. Because most people think, I don't have an hour to walk my dog. Do you have 5 minutes to prepare a little toy for them? Little interactive game puzzle?
And to be honest, it is a lot sometimes to ask from a person, being like, hey, like you can do these things to enrich your dog's life.
Yeah.
However, if you start doing these things and like preparing yourself, it becomes like a second nature.
Yeah, you could be completely honest. I don't prepare you.
No, you
You've been
don't.
preparing them all, but it's just now a thing you do.
Yeah.
You do it once a week or twice a week. Now that we have 2 dogs, and they're all in the freezer, and
They're
I
ready
try
to go.
not to take advantage and take them out because, I leave them for you because you did
Yeah.
all the work. But they are those nice things that, hey, instead of Aspen giving her normal lunch,
Yeah.
we didn't have much time for her today. Let's give her the Kong that has
Yeah.
her food in it anyway. 'Cause
Yeah.
she eats raw food. So she's getting her lunch like she normally would, but she's also getting some
But she's like
enrichment out of it.
working for it too, right? So yeah, there are a couple things you can do. We actually have the enrichment ebook.
Yes. Oh, yes.
That
I was
has
going to bring that up.
plenty of
Yeah, we just got an email
exercises and
about
things.
how many. We've been getting a lot of people downloading it. We got an email to say like we
nice.
hit a new milestone. So yeah, it's a free enrichment ebook, and just gives you ideas of fun activities you can do with your dog. Some recipes for like lick
Kongs
mats
and lick mats and-
is it in our? It's on our link tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's in our description on.
And it's free.
And it's in the thing, yeah.
You can download it. It
Yeah.
won't cost you anything.
Yeah, it's just an online ebook that has a lot of cool ideas. So check it out. If all of this is like, this sounds great, but how do I start? That's how you start.
Yeah.
Check out our ebook. So I guess moving on is another thing with our busy schedules and busy lives and hectic lives is creating a routine.
Yeah.
Now, there are people that say don't create a routine because then your dog will get used to it. But I think there's more evidence that says a routine is better than worse.
lack of routine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do feel conflicted about it a little bit. I'm not sure whether routine's good fully or bad fully, because there are dogs out there who get used to their routine so much that like any deviation from it causes them like huge stress.
You're right. I guess, yeah, you got that point. But then actually there's a video, I've already recorded it. It was talking about bonding with your dog and how routine is very important for bonding with your dog because it just, everything becomes familiar to them. This is a familiar thing. Hey, when this toy comes out, that means we're playing together. And that's what, again, for example, a tug toy, that means we play together.
Yeah.
A ball means you get to go run away from me and get it. So having that routine of, but with the feeding routine, that starts where you come into that problem of like, it's almost dinner time and they are just staring at you, or you will never be able to sleep in again because...
I mean, I get that with a puppy. Like with a puppy, a routine is very important just so you don't lose your marbles.
Well, it's building the boundaries too.
And also, it kind of helps too, because like, for instance, now that we've got a puppy, like we know we wake up at 8, she has her breakfast, right? And she like anticipates it now. Like she knows what's going to happen. And it also helps with the potty training because she knows now when she's going to go out, because we kind of go out around like the same time.
Well, because she naps around the same time within like a 30-minute window. But I guess on the topic of routine, so you say the deviation can cause a lot of stress and anxiety, but at the same time, having a routine can remove the anxiety and help well-being because they know when they're going to get
That's
fed.
true.
They're not having this like,
this is why I'm so conflicted.
I'm going to burst because I got to go to the bathroom, but I know I'll be going out in this time where it's like, when do I go out next?
Yeah.
And I know as an older dog, they just, but then they'll know when they'll just be, ringing the bell or standing by a door or whatever. But it is that like that thing of, hey, when we go out, we're going out to this place. Or I guess a good example, which is car rides. If you only go to the vet, if you only take your dog in the car in the vet, that's a terrible routine.
Yeah.
And they will get anxiety. But if you, for the most part, go for a car ride, to go to a dog park, to go for a hike, to go to the pet store, that's a positive routine. So now they're like, hey, we're going in the
for
car.
Like an adventure.
I'm excited
It's
instead of like,
time.
hey, we're going to have anxiety. I have no idea how Maple has anxiety. We've literally only do fun things compared to like a ratio of
she really does not like
50
a car.
to 1 for the 50 trips to do fun stuff, 1 to the vet.
Yeah. To be fair, she is getting better.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't whine or like pant
that's
now.
true.
But I think the crate is so important if your dog has anxiety in the car, because it just keeps them in one space, keeps them safe. It actually reduces the amount of like car vibration. So I think that has helped ever since we bought like the really crazy expensive crate that's meant for a car. So,
it's not rough land, by the way.
It's not rough land. No, I don't like rough lands.
But anyway, so I guess back on the routine thing, but it is. So I guess some examples of routines that you can do. It is feeding at the same time. If you go to work, when you come home from work, 5, 6, 7 p.m., do that walk, do that game you play with him. Because now when you get home, they're not like going to get the zoomies and go crazy and jump at you and bite things and tear apart things, because they know, or on the same thing, they're not sitting at home being like, when are they going to come home? I don't know if I'm going to do anything. I'm going to eat this shoe. It's like, hey, we're home. We're going to go and do something.
That was a great example.
Yeah. We're going to go and do something. So they'll be anticipating that like excitement. They know what's coming. So they'll wait. Just like they know they'll be going outside. So they'll wait. They know they'll be eating soon. So they'll wait.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing of routines. Because then it gives them that like, just like we like to look forward to things. Back to binge watching a show. Every week your new show comes out, you are excited for that.
Yeah.
Imagine every week you did something with your dog. They had a training class that was more than 6 weeks, or sports practice every week. Deep down, they'll know after a long enough time, but they'll be excited for it. So
yeah, it gives them purpose to live and kind of to just integrate and be happy in our world, right? We have to think about that.
Or it's the people that I know somebody, he wakes up and takes his dog for a walk every morning.
Yeah.
That's the first thing they do. I would never do that because there's days where I wouldn't want to. And if your dog is expecting that, you got to do it. Yeah. But that's a routine they've made.
I feel super guilty when it's cold outside, like stupid cold. And I just can't take her out.
It's like 10. Going on like 11 and be like, oh, we haven't taken her out yet. And we start to feel bad. And she knows too. She's like, hey, come on. We haven't gone out yet.
But then you end up doing something else instead, right?
And it's excitement for her. So it's like, we know it's too cold or we don't think it is. And then we take her out and she's like, no, don't want to touch the ground. Bring me back in, which we have an episode about that too. How cold is too cold?
It is.
So I guess to kind of like, well, not wrap up, but kind of some key takeaways of all of this is it's important. All of these kind of core needs that they need are very important. It's hard in our modern society. It's hard with our busy schedules, but they need it. They need this. Just like us, we need to go to work. We need to make money. We need to eat. We need to sleep. We need stimulation.
Yeah.
You know what? We need that physical stimulation. Fair enough. You could not exercise or whatever, but I bet you feel it. You know, you need that mental stimulation. Otherwise, you start to, feel lazy or whatever it is.
Or depressed. That's when all the health problems happen.
But you as a human, you're making this choice. You're making that choice to eat crap, to not have a good diet, to not learn something, read something, whatever, to not exercise, to not walk. You are making that choice. Your dog doesn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And this is where we get very passionate about this topic specifically. It's like, your dog does not have a choice. You are your dog's advocate. Just like we talked about, whether you're at training, whether you're at the vet, no matter what it is, you're the voice for your dog.
And sometimes, I don't know, like maybe it's just me, but for me, sometimes it doesn't matter whether you like it as a human.
It's true. You wanted a dog. You signed up for it. Yeah. I mean, there's days where I can't be bothered.
Some people don't like going out when it's minus 15 outside. I don't. No. But I do it because I want to make my dog happy. I want her to have a fulfilling life and I want her to have something to look forward to. And I think it's just the right thing to do. I hate it, but it's not about me.
Well, it's the same with classes. I mean, we'll have a video. I think we're going to have a podcast specifically talking about training classes and the importance of it. But it's like, hey, you might not want to have your one of your 2 days off in the middle of the day to go to a obedience class or sports class, but your dog will love it. And you actually will too. And I don't think people realize that. It's like by seeing your dog happy and doing things that involve bonding with your dog, which we'll get into bonding in a future episode, it actually makes you happy.
Yeah.
We had that episode, we were talking about the dopamine and the happiness and the excitement people get from even petting a dog. You go to that next level and you do things as a team, it's like, it's so rewarding.
We have puppy classes, right?
Yeah.
Do we want to go to puppy classes?
No, and we book like the earliest one in the day.
At 9 a.m. on a Wednesday morning
well,
or
we have to leave at like
something?
9. But yeah. No. And when it's cold
Do I
out,
want to be stuck in traffic and like spend literally 2 hours of my life doing things that I know how to do already? Like how to put them in sit, how to do down, right? Do I want to watch my puppy play with other puppies?
Well, yes, the play part. But
what I'm saying is it's an effort.
And they need it more than we need it.
Yeah.
And that's the point of all of this.
But I'm doing this for her because I know she needs it. And ultimately, once I get my ass out of bed and like I get there and we achieving things and I can see how this is beneficial for her, that's when that reward comes in. And that's when you get happier.
And to go to the extreme level for you guys watching and listening, wait till you get involved in dog sports. Dog sports are the biggest pain to do sometimes. It's going away for a whole weekend, booking a hotel, bring everything. But it is so fulfilling for you and the dog. It is so much fun. Even if like they don't do that well, I mean, you know, and they mess up an agility run or you're doing fly ball and they screw up and drop the ball, it's still like, it's just so much fun to be there together. It's a pain. It's a pain to get up at 6 a.m. to drive to the middle of nowhere to do a fly ball tournament.
I know.
But it is, I'm like, I want to go to the mall. And that's the thing. It's like, you don't want to go, but once you're there, you don't want to leave.
Yeah. You like
amazing.
slept in a car one time because you didn't want to pay for a hotel stay.
Oh, no, I didn't actually. I ended up leaving. I was going to, but it was too cold that night. They had a cold front move in. So I woke up at like 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. to drive up in the morning.
But like things you do for your dog, right?
Exactly.
In order to make them happy in our world.
And now that's extreme. Obviously, we're not expecting you to sleep in your car to, go to a class or a sports,
but
tournament.
Money's tight sometimes. And if you do so many tournaments, you got to find ways to go about it.
But it is. It's learning to prioritize time. Just like you have to go to work, make it a priority that you have to do something with your dog every day. Yes, try to do all of them, but sometimes you can't. To do the physical and mental, hide treats around your house because then it gets them moving and it gets them sniffing. Upstairs, downstairs, wherever. Under things, on top of things, in things. So that's, there's an example. And it's prioritizing and focusing on them a lot more than maybe you are.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think, they get quite upset actually because they have a full-time job, they decide to get a puppy, and then they realize just how much work a puppy is, and they come for advice and ask, how do people do it? How do you have full-time job, kids, a husband, and all of these other commitments, and you introduce a puppy into your life? How do you make these sacrifices?
So how do you?
You just have to.
Okay. Yeah, that's what the answer I thought you were going to say. Yeah, you just have to. It's no different than I would imagine having a baby. You don't
if you don't have time, like genuinely go and give this puppy to someone who does.
Yeah. Or if it's just a short-term thing, then it is. Find that dog sitter, find that
because I don't think it's
facility, not facility. Find that person to watch your dog, to come in and walk it, and it's as simple as just setting aside like 15 minutes to start off with. If you start off doing nothing, set aside 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening to do something with your dog. If you might, it's winter thing. And you might not want to.
That's why I say, like, if you personally don't have time to do something with this puppy, hire someone who can, or give it to someone who can.
If you don't have the time, that means you're probably working more than one job, which means you can afford that.
Yeah.
Skip your Starbucks for the week, or whatever, to pay for your dog sitter or dog walker.
Yeah.
Or if you have time, do it yourself and become a dog sitter or dog walker. And then you have even more money to then buy things for your dogs and buy enrichment toys and do classes and all
That's
that.
That's what we do.
We literally do that.
Have a fund for
we have like dogs and they're like, oh, do we want that dog for like 2 weeks? I'm like, oh, well, but that will pay for that crate, or that will pay for the next round of classes. So we're just like, okay, let's do it. And it's great. So everyone wins because we have another dog that gets to play with our dog if she feels like playing. We are learning new stuff. We are being mentally stimulated.
Oh, we are being stimulated in ways I didn't know about.
Everyone is being physically stimulated because now we have 2 dogs to take care of, or 3, or Christmas time we had 4.
I think at one time we had like 5 or 6, actually. I think so. I don't think you were home.
That's even worse.
I know.
But yeah, so I guess that's kind of what we want to talk about this is because we do see a lot of these questions. We see a lot of people of like, how do I, do things with my dog? How do I make my dog more behaved? All of these things.
But like if you fulfill their needs,
they will
behave. They will be happy. They will not have these destructive tendencies. Yeah. Yes, you will probably need a dog trainer if you don't understand how to train your dog. Yeah. And I think that's great.
But training isn't even one of the things. That's just like an extra thing to do. Training is as we said, it's a mental stimulation and physical too, depending on what you're doing. But like if you don't want that, just the walks, the exercise, the fetch, the tug, the games, the enrichment activities, the proper food, enough food so they're not hungry and want to eat your house, your belongings, or dumpster dive, garbage dive, whatever, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's very important that a lot of people don't realize. We live in a crazy world.
But I think these like core needs do have an impact on like the dog's behavior, right?
Oh, 100%. And I mean, we see that
so like
with
if
dogs.
You take care of these things, then their behavior should not have as many problems
and we are saying this from experience, and not because, so Maple already has all of those. She's had them since we got her, but because we are in Rover, and because we dog sit and do doggy daycare, we see the dogs that do not have these 5 things.
Yeah.
Met. They don't go for walks or get that physical exercise. They're not mentally stimulated. They're little terrors.
When you take
they're little terrors,
you can tell that a dog doesn't get enough physical exercise if they're literally, when they go outside, they go crazy and they don't know what to do with themselves.
Overweight.
Or if they're overweight.
Or just inside. Or like you can just tell that they're not mentally stimulated because they want to just grab everything. They're barking all the time. They're just being, they're like overstimulated by the environment they don't know how to
that
rest
they're in.
properly. And so
and I'm just like, holy, like, does this dog even do anything?
And you as an owner, you might think your dog is fine, but you use Rover or whatever, and you give your dog to somebody that has a dog that is meeting all of these needs, they'll tell you to be like, come hang out with my dog for the day. You will not want yours back, to be honest.
It's funny because I don't obviously tell these dog owners like, hey, your dog's not getting enough exercise. Yeah. But I kind of like ask questions like, hey, how many times in a week do you take out your dog? Like,
once.
Like, are they used to being walked on the leash? Yeah. Because it doesn't seem like it to me. So like I ask these questions and then that's when everything comes out. Like, no, actually, we don't walk on leash and we just do like off-leash hikes kind of thing. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense now.
So, but yeah, these are like non-negotiable. I'm sorry to say. If you're listening to this, if you made it this far, still in this episode, and you have a dog and you are not meeting these 5 needs, then reevaluate, rethink how you're doing things, hire somebody, make more time.
And I think that there's no shame... Hobby. Yeah. Give up a hobby, give up a child, I don't know.
Well, yeah, do that actually, because,
No, I'm kidding. Oh,
what were we saying?
I don't know.
There's no harm,
there's no shame in realizing that you, as a human being, you can't fulfill these needs for your dog and, rehoming. And I don't think there's any shame in that.
Also, if you realize you aren't fulfilling these needs and you want to, it's never too late.
Yeah.
It's never too late to fix their diet.
Yeah.
It's never too late to get them to do physical exercise if they're being overweight. It's never too late to start the training, trick training, whatever, if they need more stimulation. Yeah, it will be a little bit harder, but they'll still learn. Dogs can still learn. There is the saying is you can teach an old dog new tricks. You can.
Oh, yeah. It's just harder.
Yeah.
A little
just
bit.
like humans. It's a lot harder to learn a second language when you're 40 than it would be when you're 15 or 20. You know, you still can.
Yeah.
It's harder because there's so much more going on. But anyway, we can go on forever. But I think that's kind of the main points we want to get across on what it's like to have a dog in the modern world. I think we're going to do a lot more focus on kind of like raising dogs in the modern world, science-based things, kind of better dog parenting, getting rid of debunking all the old myths. You know, we really want this to be a bit more of like the modern stuff. There are 100,000 YouTube trainers out there that are teaching the same things over and over again, but like it's time that somebody...
Do these trainers tell you, hey, your dog needs a physical exercise, they need mental stimulation, they need these things? Do they actually...
You know what, I'm thinking about that.
Tell you these things?
I mean, I've watched a lot of training videos.
People are pretty dumb.
Yeah, they are. They just teach you, but that's the thing. And so people, and again, I guess that's the point of this episode and this podcast, is people just learn the step-by-step how to teach your dog that.
Like when you get a dog, it's not like getting a kitchen appliance. Do you know what I mean? Or like a toy or a new car.
That you play with or use whenever you want. It's not like getting that bread maker for Christmas and you took 10 months to use it.
That's a true story.
True story, which we finally used it. But it's not like that. You don't get a dog and be like, okay, well, I'm too busy for 6 months, so let's just let it do whatever. And then I'm going to realize that my dog has problems. And then I'm going to try to reevaluate my life. Do you know what I mean? And really quickly, if you're still with us, and because Christmas is coming up by the time this gets posted, and you know someone that's getting a dog for Christmas, well, share this whole podcast with them, to be perfectly honest. But specifically this one, because Christmas is a very popular puppy time. Maybe we should do an episode.
It might seem like a common sense thing, but a dog is a commitment.
Yes.
And if you commit
more
to
than
a
just
dog,
feeding it, letting it
you
sleep.
have to commit to meeting the basic needs.
Yeah.
In our world to make them happy and fulfilled and actually treat them like a dog that they should be.
I have another quick example on that topic of, okay, so you have kids. It's not quite the same that you can't send your kids off to daycare all day. Well, you can, but like, let's just put this in perspective. You have a baby, cool, you're with them while you're on maternity leave. You go back to work, cool, they're in daycare. Then they're in preschool. Then they're in kindergarten. Then they're in
Someone's
primary
always
school.
looking after them,
There's
taking care of
always
them.
looking after them. A dog, you can't do that. I mean, you can, but why would you have a dog if someone else is looking after it all the time?
Yeah.
Cool. You can get a puppy. Well, I don't think you can't take brand new puppies to daycare. They have to be vaccinated. But that's not a way for a dog to live its life. So you can't just like, I want a dog, but we're not gonna. We can't treat it like a human child where they do the daycare, they do the preschool, the kindergarten, all that stuff. It's like
this is why in some ways having a dog or introducing a dog to your family, it's sometimes a little bit more challenging than actually having kids.
Yeah.
Because at least with kids, you can do those things. You can hire a nanny. You can put them in school. You know, you pretty much pop out a baby. You
can hire a babysitter when you want to go out for
do
dinner.
your maternity leave, which is great. Like, I wish this existed for
you're getting paid to be at home. You're not getting paid to say unless maybe you are, but
I mean, I
holidays.
don't know. We should have a campaign or something like, let's have maternity leaves for puppies. This should be a thing.
Yeah, that should be. Let us know if you would be happy with the paternity leave.
Paternity.
Oh man, we are going all over the place with this episode.
I know.
But you're right.
This is relevant in today's society because people work so much and they don't have time.
And they're relying on technology. They're putting the iPads and the screens and the tablets in front of their kids' faces. They're turning on.
You can't do that with a dog. Yeah.
Coco Melon. That's the only thing I can think of.
Coco Melon?
It's a weird baby TV show. It's just very popular.
Is it like Peppa Pig or something?
Or that, or whatever. Yeah. People do that. You can't do that with a dog. You can't just put, a tablet in front of their face.
Be like, there you go. You are entertained now.
And that's that. I think that's a good way to wrap it up. And I can't believe we didn't think about that earlier with the modern society and technology. And there's so many things to make raising your child easier. Yeah. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean they're going to.
But are there many things to make raising a dog easier?
There's nothing. other than the camera, the like pet cam, which
And
I
like
guess
support groups, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you're right. And like support groups to get help for free in a sense.
Yeah.
The pet cams to make sure, but then no offense, if you have a pet cam, well, some of them shoot out treats. So I was going to say, because then you're just watching them destroy your house. But some of them like a speaker and you can like shoot out a treat but then they like learn and
But
they'll just
that's
sit there.
still not
Anyway,
the same.
No, it's not. It's yeah.
Like your dog
just-
needs
It needs that. So what was that part? The
Social interaction.
Yeah, it needs that. Not a robot. Not a robot camera that shoots out treats. Or the automatic ball launcher, which is fun sometimes.
I think the robot camera thing, I don't know what I wanted to say just then. It's more for your own sake.
Oh yeah, it is. I think.
And peace of mind that your
just like
dog's
the baby
okay.
monitor,
Yeah.
which now are in
Rather
video.
than for your dog to be like, oh, hey, this is a fun thing. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm entertained now because I'm
No.
being watched. Like, no.
No, they're not. That thing looks like the vacuum or the TV or the appliance.
Yeah.
Looks like your blender. You know.
Your dog's not a blender.
No, let's just say it looks
Your
similar.
dog's
but yeah.
an animal, a living, breathing thing that you need to look after.
Yeah. So
and
whether or not you
cherish and
have a
love.
dog and if you're fulfilling all these things, or if you have some ideas that maybe we didn't say of cool ways to do mental stimulation or physical exercise, let us know. If there's something that you want to admit that you were missing out, let us know as well. Like you said, there's no shame. It's better to realize now.
Yeah.
Like, it's never too late to do something. Just like as you as a human, it's never too late to change. It's not,
There's a lot of strength in admitting that you're wrong.
Yeah. And so, and we're not perfect. We don't do this every day. We skip some things some days. Maple hasn't been for a walk today.
No, it's too cold.
Yeah, it's too cold. So we're trying to make up for it a little bit with mental stimulation, but it's just is what it is. So, we're just talking about overall in your dog's life in the modern society, and modern society is only going to get worse.
Yeah.
It really is. We're going to get lazier. We're going to rely more on technology, but at the end of the day, dogs are still dogs. They're not babies. I know people use the word fur baby. It's not a baby.
I hate the word fur baby so much.
And they still have needs that need to be met. And they're not wolves either, so don't leave them outside. We definitely have an episode about that coming up.
Wolves.
Getting tired of hearing that comment on the internet. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and they're not wolves, so don't just leave them outside all day and think, whatever, they're fine. Okay, that's it. I think that's it.
Went a little bit far.
Yeah. The moral of it is they have needs to be met. Please, for their sake, try to meet these needs as best as you can, or find help, or toys, or objects, or whatever. So, to help you. That's it. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay, I'm going to stop talking.
Just be
otherwise
proactive.
I will
be a proactive,
be
responsible human being.
Yeah. Be a smart dog owner.
Yeah.
That's it.
And if you're not a smart dog owner, then don't be a dog owner.
Yeah. And if you know someone that's not a smart dog owner, send them this way.
Yeah.
And if they don't listen to us, then
let's be smart together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye for now.